So I'm going to be making a real quick video of me talking about the Dallas Mavericks versus the Boston Celtics, right? Yeah, I already told you that I'm going to miss the first two games of the NBA final because I'm on vacation. I told you that the series does not start after two games, and I kind of knew like things are turning around, right? So let's go over the NBA playoff so far as of of 2024, right? So far the Dallas Mavericks and the Boston Celtics both play 4 games, and the Bostons are currently up 3-0 after 3 games, and then game 4 was a total beatdown. So I do want to make an apology over there, and the reason why I know what's been going on in NBA without me watching the game is because I've been following Ticket TV, I've been following Ray R Sport Debate, and I've been watching other channel that talks about basketball recap, right? I mean that's all I do, If I don't have enough time, I can just watch this YouTube video and these people just make a really good recap. I really trust Ticket TV because Ticket TV has been he's a real NBA fan, and he's the one that's been calling every single player out, who doesn't do a good job and who doesn't do a good job, right? Yeah, he holds every single player accountable. So shout out to Ticket TV, for telling all the real news about the NBA. I mean, he's not perfect, but he tried his best. He told the truth. When you tell the truth in life, people will always believe you, right? I mean, telling the truth will always set you free, and you don't ever have to worry about hiding your lies, right? So that's just common sense, right? So you want to know, like, why did the Dallas Mavericks lost the first 2 games? It's not because obviously because they play at the Celtic, they play the Boston TD Garden, and I think it was Kyrie Irving's fault, right? Like, I really love Kyrie Irving, everybody, the real NBA fan knows that, Kyrie is a real, killer and a clutch killer, when it comes to basketball and all stuff, but yeah, he plays a really big role in the Dallas Mavericks as of, let me look. As a point guard, right? Yeah, so the first game, the Dallas Mavericks lost 89-107, a blowout, and then, the next game, they lost, again, 98-105. Kyrie did not play well the first 2 games, which is why, the Bostons are now up 2-0, heading in, to the Mavericks, home, right? And then there's several reasons, why, the Boston Celtics almost choke away Game 3. So as you can see, the Dallas Mavericks, at the beginning of the game, they were up 13 points. They were up like double digit, and then, the Boston, like, suddenly, came back, Another reason why the Boston won their first 2 games because they were hitting all their shots, they were making all their threes. I know that if you make every single 3 and you live and you die by 3, it does help you win games, but you cannot win 4 games, You cannot beat that team, your opponent, 4 times. You may be only going to get like 1 or 2 wins, but this is not a single game elimination. This is not a double game elimination. Every time when you play the 7-game matchup, you only get 4 lives, right? By jacking up all that 3, maybe you win like 1 or 2 games at most, but you're not going to win all 4 games. And I feel like Boston could have choked this series. And I'll tell you why, right? So, yeah. That game, Boston was just hitting all their, threes. They jack up so many threes. So in Game 3, Boston were like 17 of 46 from the 3-point line, and the Dallas Mavericks are 19 of 25 from the 3-point line, so the Boston obviously jacked up to 8 threes, which is why they. I mean, the Boston Celtic shooting from a 3-point advantage is actually double of the Dallas Mavericks, right? They're shooting like twice about 3, but they only beat them by less than 10 points. Which is why in Game 4 I was surprised that the Mavericks blew out the Celtic, right? Usually when you play a really high defense, and usually when you play the finals, usually whoever played better defense and whoever have the most points in the paint will win the game. And Game 3 has been super weird. 2024 has been a very weird year, like I said again. The Mavericks outscored the Boston Celtics 36-52 in the paint. But then their free throw disparity is about the same. The reason why Boston wins because of the 3-point, right? Dallas Mavericks dominate 52-36 in the paint. There are several reasons why the Dallas Mavericks lost Game 3. Obviously because of Coach Jason Kidd and Luka Doncic, right? Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving are the biggest reason why the Dallas Mavericks are gonna fail the finals. If the Mavericks fail to deliver a championship this year, it's Luka and Kyrie's fault, right? And anyway, both teams are both fraudulent, so I do not care who wins the finals, honestly, because both teams are not real contenders. They're all pretenders, right? Because how pathetic of the era we live in. I mean, the basketball era, the NBA that we're watching, the reason why a lot of people don't like this type of basketball is because I feel like every single team that we're watching, they are pretenders, right? And unfortunately, there has to be one winner. If all 30 teams in the NBA are pretender, then you're just going to have to see a championship. One of the teams are going to win championship, but they're going to be a pretender. If they play back in the 90s stuff, they'll probably exit in the second round. They'll never get out the second round, to be honest with you. Right? That's the unfortunate part, this is why, I see like, little off topic, but Team Australia, Team Europe, talk about those foreigner countries, that are not, Team USA. I talk about Team USA and, other country when it comes to basketball. I see that other countries are catching up to USA because USA's are pretty looking pathetic when it comes to basketball, right? All that low magic, all that weak era, and all that 3-point jack shot, right? Yeah, I feel like the Dallas Mavericks and the Boston Celtics, if they play against foreigner country, they're gonna struggle. To be honest with you, I'm not gonna lie, right? It's feel like the finals are gonna be boring again. Last year's final was so boring because the Denver Nuggets like swept the Miami Heat, like nearly swept. If the Celtics did procrastinate Game 2, they would have swept the Heat. To be honest with you. But yeah, I see that the Boston Celtics are pretty much a perennial choke artist. The only reason. So, okay, I need to stop speaking so soon, but let me tell you what happened in the fourth quarter. So, the Boston Celtics were up by 21 points, and then they're blowing a 20-point lead in less than 4 minutes, which is like 2024 is trying to break record, right? This is unbelievable, How the hell you blow a 20-point lead in like 4 minutes? Like I said, like some people say that the Boston Celtics are perennial, choke artists, and then the only reason why the Boston should have lost Game 3, but they did not, is because, because of Luka got fouled out and, Jason Kidd is being a dumb head coach, right? I'm gonna give Joe Mazzulla credit, but Joe Mazzulla is not a good coach, but But he out-coached Jason Kidd, right? If your team is on the momentum and if you call timeout, that's really bad. Yeah, a lot of people, like criticize, like a coach should never call timeout if their team is going on a massive run, if they have all the momentum, because now, like Coach Jason Kidd just call timeout and then, and make a huge mistake because then, it gives Boston, the Boston team, and then, the Boston coach, the Boston player will figure out, how to stop the Mavericks momentum, right? You only call timeout just to stop the other team's momentum, not stopping your team's momentum, right? If you call yourself, like it's just common sense. Like if a team calls timeout, and then this team has momentum, that means the other team will find a way to stop momentum, and then they get their momentum, to close off the game, and this is how you lose game. I remember that this happens a couple times, in the NBA Finals in the past before, It happened several times. For example, like the Toronto Raptors, were beating up the Golden State Warriors, and then, Nick Nurse calls a timeout, when the Raptors have the big momentum, and I tell you, man, I'm telling you the truth. It's not a lie. It's like it's stopping your team from winning. It's stopping the momentum. The Raptors lost their momentum of beating the Golden State Warrior in one of those games, and the Warrior ended up winning because it's Nick Nurse's fault, right? Same thing, like Jason Kidd should have not called timeout, when the Mavericks on a run. Like, it's the boss's job. It's their job. They have to call timeout, right? And, Joe Mazzulla made good adjustment, like, now, you got, like, Derek White, and other players, hitting big shot, just to save the Boston's, season. And just, the Mavericks just lost the game, cost them a game. They cost them a series, right? And then game 4 was a big difference, right? I thought that the Mavericks would, choke again, but the Mavericks are figuring things out, like how to beat the Boston Celtic, right? Beating the Boston Celtic is not impossible, guys. It's not impossible. We see that the Boston lose to much, like a lesser team or even mediocre team like the Los Angeles Lakers, that doesn't have LeBron James and Anthony Davis. There are teams, that are much weaker than the Dallas Mavericks, and the Boston Celtics lost to some regular season team, right? So yeah, I think in game 4, the Boston Celtics shot as many three as the Dallas Mavericks, right? I told you, like 95 to 85% of the time, if you outscore a team in the paint, you will win the game. Period. Right? This game, the Dallas just kept, the same strategy, like they keep pressuring Boston, They outscored the Boston Celtics 26-60. So, what does that say to you? And then the final score of Game 4 was 84-122. Right? So now you can clearly see, why the Dallas Mavericks are winning again. Let's see who played bad Game 4. So I watched Game 4. I did not watch Game 3 for some reason, but I told you Game 4, Dallas Mavericks was playing locked up defense. The Bostons are choking. The boss. Now all the pressures are on the Bostons right now, right? I want to make a message, to the Boston Celtics, team. Hey, Boston Celtic, if you want to win the finals, you better win today, man, because I'm recording on 6/17/2024. The Boston Celtic has to win Game 5. If they don't win Game 5, then their series is over because they are not winning Game 6, Game 7. Because every time Boston gets to Game 7, like, it's become a very big clutch moment. And I know that Boston's not a good clutch team, right? They only win if they're, like, ahead of us and they have to take the easy route. They have to win, like, Game 5, Game 4, Game 5, Game 6, right? If Boston has to win one more game, and if they're And if the series is currently at game 4, game 5, or game 6, then Boston have a good chance. But if it goes to game 7, then Boston's not winning, man. The Celtics are not winning at all. The Celtics needs to win game 5, or else their season is pretty much gone, right? I know that coming down from a 3-0 deficit is impossible, and nobody has ever come back from a 3-0 deficit, right? Can the Dallas Mavericks come back from a 3-0 deficit? But we don't know, right? I mean, injuries could occur, Kyrie, Luka can get hurt. Right, and Luka needs to shape up, right? And stop complaining and whining, on the other hand, right? So if we look at it to the Boston Celtics team, everyone in the Boston Celtics did not play well in game 4, right? Yeah, the Dallas played like a lots of luck up defense, and the Boston Celtics, they just look like they want to give up. Their body language and all that stuff, right? This is why, the game 4 was completely a beatdown, right? But Boston still have, plenty of, they still have a chance, to close series. The sooner they don't win the game, they need to win the game very soon, because the longer they wait, the harder it get, right? If Boston keeps losing a lot more games, then all the pressure will go to them and not to the Mavericks, right? I feel like game 4, every pressure was on the Mavericks because they're down 3-0, and the Mavericks cannot afford to lose any more games, right? When they're down 3-0. And Boston has all the momentum, but now because of Boston lost game 4, then Mavericks gets momentum. I mean, to win a championship game, you never give your opponent momentum, no matter what situation they're in, because if they gain confidence and if they motivate, then beating them and stopping them is going to be a lot harder, right? The Boston Celtics are in real trouble if they do not win game 5. I say right now, the Bostons are okay right now, so yeah, they need to win game 5, really soon. Like, they have to win, like, right now, I say that game 5 is probably the Boston Celtics, last opportunity to win a championship. If they don't win a championship this year, then they have to break this up, right? And then they may have to, break up a team and maybe have to start all over again. So yeah, the Boston both teams cannot make any more mistake, right? Yeah, momentum is a big difference, especially in the final, right? Having momentum is very important, right? You do not want to be like this. There are teams that came back from even 3-1 deficits, right? But blowing a 3-0 is just worse than blowing it. It's really bad. It's like worse than blowing a 3-1 deficit, because coming back from a 3-1 deficit, you have to win 3 games in a row, right? But coming back from a 3-0 deficit, in order to come back from a 3-0 deficit, you have to win 4 games in a row, right? I mean, the only reason why I don't see the Boston blowing a 3-0 lead not that easily is because they have plenty of time making adjustments. Even though the Dallas Mavericks are gaining momentums, right? I mean, you have 4 games to make an adjustment, right? But now you only have 3 because Dallas just, Dallas won game 4, so the Boston only has 3 more games just to get only 1 win, right? I know getting your 4th win in the NBA Finals is really hard, right? But no excuses, man. No excuses. Like, everybody has to play well. Everybody has to step up, right? And the only reason why I see the Boston choking away is because all they do is just jack up threes. That's the biggest reason, and they don't score much in the paint. Because if you're just gonna be like the Golden State Warriors, you'll shoot three all the time, you're not gonna score very much in the paint. But yeah, scoring in the paint does take a lot of points, but then you're not gonna shoot a lot more threes, right? And if you shoot a lot more in the paint, you play much better your defense and all that stuff. So yeah, and the Dallas, there's another reason why the Dallas Mavericks else totally dismantled the Boston Celtics in Game 4 because of amounts of rebound. The rebound was 31-52. The Dallas Mavericks out rebounded the Boston Celtics by 21. Yeah, rebounds are so important, right? And also, to order to win games, you cannot get fouled out early. If Luka or Kyrie gets fouled out early, then the Celtic win the game. If the Celtic has to be fouled, like Jason Tatum or or Drew Holiday or one of their main players, important player gets fouled out early, then the game is pretty much done for the Celtics, right? So yeah, I say that Boston got pretty lucky, going up 3-0 because it's just the Mavericks' fault, they screw up 2 games, and then Luka got fouled out, and then Coach Jason Kidd just mess up the Dallas Mavericks momentum, And all Boston did was just, make one little adjustment, and they just, escape with a victory. They escape from the Dallas Mavericks. So yeah, So yeah. Peace out, and thank you for watching this video.